There's a certain kind of person who doesn't like going out too much, not because they're lazy, but because being alone simply feels easier to breathe. They can sit for hours in a quiet room, no noise, no rush, just thoughts moving slowly through their mind. People like this are often associated with introversion. They don't spend much time in social conversations, and they're not constantly pulled into the pace of the outside world. And because of that, they have something not everyone has, the time to truly think. Not the kind of thinking that just passes by, but the kind where you sit with a question for a long time. Why is everything the way it is? What if I did things differently? Is there another way to look at this? They reflect on small details, re-examine what has happened, and even dissect their own thoughts. And over time, their brain develops a habit, not accepting things immediately, but always going one layer deeper. That's how critical thinking is formed. And when someone gets used to seeing things from multiple perspectives, they can also connect ideas that seem unrelated. And from that, creativity begins to emerge. A quiet environment helps the brain switch into real learning mode. Have you ever noticed, there are times when you read a lot, listen to a lot, but a few days later, you remember almost nothing. It's not because you're not capable. It's because in those moments, your brain wasn't truly learning. In psychology, the brain generally operates in two very different states. One is when you're constantly exposed to the outside world. Sounds, messages, conversations, social media. At that point, your brain is like a door that's always open. Information comes in very quickly, but it also passes just as quickly. You might know many things, but you don't truly understand any of them deeply. Then there's another state, quieter, slower. It happens when you're alone, no noise pulling your attention away, no small distractions interrupting you. In this state, your brain starts doing something very different. Not just receiving information, but processing, organizing, and connecting it. You read something and you begin to ask yourself, what does this connect to what I already know? Why is this actually true? You're no longer skimming through information, you're truly diving into its core. And in that exact moment, your brain shifts into a different mode, deep focus mode. You understand faster because you grasp the root. You remember longer because the information is deeply encoded. In other words, quiet doesn't make you learn less. It makes everything you learn carry more weight. Maybe the real question has never been, is staying at home or going out better? What truly matters is what you do with your mind during that time. Some people go to many places and meet many people, but their thoughts are constantly pulled outward. Others stay in a small, quiet space without noise or excitement, yet inside them, there's an entire world in motion. They observe, they reflect, they ask themselves questions, and then search for the answers on their own. And over time, the way they see the world begins to change, a bit slower, but much deeper. So, people who prefer staying at home aren't necessarily smarter, but they do have an advantage. They can more easily enter a state that not everyone has the patience to reach, a state of deep thinking, focused attention, and inward reflection. And that is what makes them, in the eyes of others, seem more intelligent. But if you look a little closer, you'll realize it's not where you are that defines your intelligence, but how you use the silence around you.